Thanks for joining. Like I said today, my name is Chris Mitchell, solution architect here with InflowCX, and today we're going to be talking about RingCentral and Microsoft Teams. So, if you're new to our webinar series, we have about 5 of these per month. So feel free to hit our website, look at upcoming webinars we have up that we have scheduled. We have one coming up next week on roadmap to a successful cloud contact center migration, and we're getting ready to post our November webinars coming up next week as well. If you have questions throughout this webinar, feel free to post them in the question and answer section. I will try to answer them as I'm going through through the presentation. But if I don't get to them on that slide, I'll save time at the very end for question and answer as well. All right, let's go hit a quick agenda here. So I'm going to talk real quick about who is InflowCX. If you're, like I said, if you're new to our webinar series, and then I'll jump right into the RingCentral Microsoft Teams. I'm actually going to be doing a live demo today of the RingCentral integration for Microsoft Teams. And then, like I said, I'll save a little bit of time at the end for Q&A, and then I'll have a last slide for how to contact us. You can reach out to if you have a CSM or account or sales rep with us, or you can hit us up with a phone number and email at the end as well. All right, so who is InflowCX? So, if you've noticed for a long time, we started out as a StoreTel, dealer, and became Mitel, and then we moved into the cloud, into the cloud space from a UC and contact center perspective. Well, now, we provide, advisory services, deployment, managed services, for contact center, customer experience, and unified communication solutions. So, our expertise spans, the customer experience, UC, contact center, workforce management, workforce optimization, AI, automation, analytics, BPO now, all those different services now. So we have 75 plus employees. We've done over 1,000 customers. We have over 500 contact center deployments, 300 contact center engagements for consulting purposes, and over 1,000 UC projects. So we've been around for a long time. We've been doing a lot of different stuff. Some of the industry accolades that we have is 5.9 Sales Partner of the Year, Genesis Implementation Partner of the Year, NICE CX1, Micro SI Partner, Platinum Implementation Partner, Zoom and RingCentral Preferred Implementation Partner as well. So a lot of industry experiences with us there. Our customers span all kinds of sizes and industries. You can see here, just a variety of our current customers as well. Some of the technology partners that we work with in the contact center space, all the major players out there, Genesis, 5.9, NICE, CX1, everything like that. On the bottom side, the UC, the major players again, RingCentral, Zoom, Fuse, 8x8. We do Teams integration like we're going to talk about today. And then in the middle are our customer experience ecosystem. These are all the applications that can integrate, with the different contact center or UC, players out there. So you'll see a bunch of different players that you might know, companies you might know. But we also do, like on the right-hand side, you see, we also do automation, CRM integrations, BPO, knowledge management. There's a lot of different stuff in our ecosystem that, complements the UC and the contact center companies out there. All right, well, let's hop right to it. What you guys, what everybody came here to find out about today. So a couple of years ago, RingCentral came out with, a Teams integration. Now they actually have 2 Teams integrations that we're going to be talking about today. So the 2 types of Teams integrations that they offer, one is called direct routing, and that's actually like a SIP integration that RingCentral does with Microsoft Teams, and that requires a session border controller on the RingCentral side, to be able to pass calls back and forth, via SIP. That's what I call like a native integration, really, because if you do that integration, your end users, your employees are going to be using Teams as like a soft phone connected to RingCentral. The RingCentral is still the dial phone provider, but Teams is like the client that your end users use. They'll use the Teams desktop client, and also use the Teams mobile client in that case. The other option is what I call like a dialer integration. It's an app integration. You go to Teams and you go into their app store and you look for RingCentral. You download the RingCentral app, and then you log in with your RingCentral credentials, and then you're able to kind of access some of the RingCentral features inside of Teams, but it still requires you to have the RingCentral application installed on the computer. And it really just brings some of the RingCentral features into Microsoft Teams. So that's the two integration options that you have when you're integrating Microsoft Teams with RingCentral. So first, we're gonna talk through some architecture requirements and what it takes to integrate between the two features. So RingCentral. So this is the native integration, or between RingCentral and Microsoft Teams, the direct routing integration. So you can see here on the left-hand side, you have the user, with their desktop and their mobile applications, and those applications are connected to Teams. So like I said, your end users, your employees, they use Microsoft Teams. That's their client. They don't really, in this case, you don't even have to tell your employees that you're using RingCentral, because all your employees really know is they know Teams. Teams is the infrastructure in the client that they're going to be using. And then you can see here that Teams then connects over to RingCentral, in the middle here. That's where you see that an SBC would be sitting right between the RingCentral and the Teams boxes there. Then RingCentral is connected to the dial tone. RingCentral is the dial tone provider in this case still. So anytime a customer or somebody calls one of your work phone numbers, your published phone numbers, that goes into RingCentral. RingCentral owns all of the dial tone and all of the call flows and the call control, everything like that. So auto attendance, call queues, any of that kind of stuff, hold music, all that kind of stuff lives within RingCentral. And then RingCentral does all the processing. And then once it says, oh, I need to pass this call to Chris, then RingCentral hands the call off to Teams, and then Teams looks up in their system, oh, Chris, let's ring Chris's mobile, or his soft phone, or maybe his physical phone, and then Teams actually delivers the call to the end user after RingCentral has done all the processing of the call. Also, all of the integrations and stuff like that would be connected. We can still connect, to backend integrations for CRMs and stuff like that with RingCentral on that side of things. One big note here: two kind of requirements to look at when you're doing this direct routing integration. First is you have to have the Microsoft Teams PBX license, or an E5 license. So inside of Teams, they require you to have a PBX license or an E5 license if you want to place calls outside of your organization using Teams. So that license by default from Microsoft is $8 per user per month to have that ability, and that gives you dialing abilities outside of your organization. The other thing to note is if you want to use physical phones with this integration, the physical phones are connected to Teams, not to RingCentral. So you have to have Teams compatible phones, which means in most cases Polycoms, and there's only a couple of Polycoms that have Teams firmware enabled on those. So if you want to use physical phones, they're connected to your Office 365 and they're connected to Teams. It's assigned to users that way. They're not assigned to RingCentral, because with the integration we're doing here is all of the endpoints and the soft phones and the mobile devices are all Teams. They're not RingCentral. RingCentral is still your dial tone provider. You still get all the uptime guarantees and stuff like that RingCentral offers and SLAs, but all your employees and stuff like that are using all the Teams infrastructure. So that's the big thing to note there. Those are the two requirements. So we don't have a ton of customers who are using this feature because of that extra $8 a license. Adds up. Because you're paying for the RingCentral for all of the the backend dial tone and uptime guarantees and SLAs, but then you also have that added fee from Microsoft that you have to pay for. So we don't have a ton of customers using this feature, but it is really nice for your end users, because all they know is the Teams client. They don't have to use multiple clients. They don't have to have the RingCentral application installed or anything like that. But other thing to note is you do lose some of the RingCentral features and capabilities when you do the direct routing integration. So like by default, Teams doesn't have faxing capabilities or SMS texting capabilities or like an operator console, on that side of things. So when we do this integration and we tell all of our employees they're going to live within Teams, we lose, the faxing capability, the SMS texting, and the operator console that RingCentral offers. because Teams doesn't have those abilities in their client. One note is you can do this integration and pick and choose which users are using that integration. So maybe you want one department to use the direct routing integration and the other department to use RingCentral by itself. You do have that option. You can pick and choose which users use this integration, which ones don't. So you don't have to force all of your company to use the Teams integration. You can say, okay, this department or these departments are going to use it. The other departments, maybe the sales team is going to use RingCentral or something like that. You can pick and choose which departments use the direct routing team integration, and which ones just use the RingCentral client. The other option you have, like I talked about, is the application integration, with Teams and RingCentral. This one is available to everybody. There's no cost for the application integration to Teams, but what you don't get is, you don't get that single application, inside of Teams. You still have to have the RingCentral application installed, and you use the RingCentral mobile application. So your users are using Teams for their instant messaging in most cases, but then they're still going to have the RingCentral application installed, for placing of calls, receiving of calls, and then they'll use the Teams mobile application for instant messaging between employees, and they'll use the RingCentral application on their mobile when it comes to calling of placing and receiving calls, it's text messaging or faxing services on their mobile application. So kind of there's trade-offs both ways. Is one, if you just want your employees to only use one application in Teams, great, the direct routing integration is nice, but there's added cost to it. The other one with the app integration is there's multiple applications your users have to kind of get used to and use, but there's no added cost to that integration. So, kind of give and take both ways. And, in here in a minute, I'm going to show you, what it looks like for both integrations, in my my demo Teams environment. Okay, let me see. I'm going to get through a couple questions here before I go and hop into the live demo here. There's a question about the SBC. So it asks, do you have to maintain, or does the customer have to maintain that SBC? Nope. So the nice thing is with the direct routing integration, RingCentral will actually, they maintain the session border controller that integrates between RingCentral and Microsoft Teams. So it's nothing that the customer has to purchase, or support or anything like that, which is rare, because in most cases, when you try to integrate Teams to something else, the customer has to spin up like an Azure-based SBC and maintain that. Well, in this case, RingCentral has session border controllers, and they have an integration. They have a tie to Teams, and they'll maintain that SBC for you. The other feature here, I ask, or somebody asked, is does this feature work for RingCentral Engage? And the answer is no, because with RingCentral Engage, the contact center platform there is your users have to be able to log into the in log in and log out. So your users still have to do that. I guess if I still logged in, I'm trying to think if it would work if we logged in. So Engage is a contact center platform from RingCentral. So if I was an agent and I logged into RingCentral Engage to the client to log in and out of my group and in my queues and stuff like that, I would still have to have that web page up. But there's really no reason I couldn't use Teams as my to receive my calls with RingCentral Engage. I'm going to note that question down and verify with a RingCentral solution architect. So. Kylie, can you take a note of the email address on that question? I'm going to follow up with on that question just to verify. I think it actually would work. My initial answer was no, but I think with the RingCentral Engage contact center platform, I think we could actually make the direct routing integration work with Engage. I know I can use the app integration, but the direct routing integration, I think I could actually make it work, even though my initial answer was no on that. So I'll follow back up on that on that question after this call. All right. Let me switch screens here and everything, get my Microsoft Teams pulled up, and we can kind of walk through what everything looks like here. Voila! All right. So this is my Teams environment here. So you're used to, you're chatting up here and stuff like that. So then I have my calls tab here, and if you just have regular Microsoft Teams, you're not going to have, your call screen is going to look a little bit different because you don't have the outbound dialer piece on the left hand side. But if you have the direct routing integration in the $8 license that this requires, this is where your user is going to live in here. They're going to have their call history and everything here. They're going to have their voicemail, inside of Microsoft Teams. They're going to get their voicemail transcriptions and everything like that here. They can call back users, in their voicemail and everything like that. On the left-hand side here is going to be the dialer. So one thing to note when I'm using this integration and I click in here, type a name or number, I'm not going to have access to like to a RingCentral directory or anything like that. All I'm going to have access to is the Teams directory. So Teams phone numbers and all that kind of stuff in here. You will see the user will be able to see like their phone number on the bottom of the screen here, for their DID. And as we go to place a call here, you'll notice that it's going to place a Microsoft Teams call. So, the user has no idea that they're doing anything within, with RingCentral. But what's happening on the back end is Microsoft Teams is reaching out to RingCentral and passing, saying, "Hey, RingCentral, I need to place a call to this phone number." So then RingCentral says, "Great, let me connect you." Great, RingCentral connects the call, and then but then the end user is doing everything within Teams. They're gonna do their transfers, their holds, their conference calling, all of that inside of Teams, just like they're doing, like they're calling an internal person inside of Teams. So it's really easy, for the end user because they don't have to. They don't have to learn a different application. They don't have to, do anything like that. I can open up the keypad. They can go to more here. They can do hold. They can do transfers. All the normal stuff they're used to doing within Teams. They do that here without having to learn a separate application. So they can do transfer here, initiate the hold, and everything like that, on the call. And now they pick who they want to transfer to and everything like that. So if they need to, make this into a conference call or something like that, they can hit the people here and they can invite somebody else, right here to the call and make this, a conference call as well. Within Teams, when you add a third person to the call, it actually converts it from a Teams call to a Teams meeting. So I can invite anybody, inside the company or outside the company, and it just converts the call to a Teams meeting. So then at that point, I can then share my screen, enable video, those features built into Teams. I'm going to hang up on this call here. You can see I have my history, I have my missed calls, I have my incoming calls, all that kind of stuff, that I can see from right here. As you click on on a phone number on the right hand side, they'll give you any information Teams knows about this call. And then you have the ability to call this person back and stuff like that, from this directory as well. So pretty easy, ease of use, on this side of things. And then like I said, I would use the Teams mobile application if I'm using the direct routing, integration here on this side. We see any questions on the direct routing? Looks like I have two questions on the direct routing integration here. Question is somebody's asked is if they can log into RingCentral and access faxing and text. Unfortunately, with the direct routing integration, I can't. If a user is using direct routing integration, they'll lose access to the RingCentral system, so they can't log into like the RingCentral website and access to texting and faxing capabilities. So it's kind of a all or nothing if we do the direct routing integration on a per user basis. If the user is integrated with RingCentral, or with Teams, they'll have to use everything within Teams, and they only get the features that Teams offers. If a user is not, with RingCentral, then they can have the rest of those features there. Another question is, from a call ID perspective, when I place the call, it will use, because RingCentral is the dial tone provider, RingCentral will still control the caller ID of the calls. So RingCentral will place the outbound call, and in the caller ID information, like will go out based on the user, the user settings that are assigned to them. If a user is on, if you're calling another user who's on RingCentral, great. They'll see that information. The caller ID name and number is going to match whatever RingCentral sets in there. So nobody's really going to know if I'm calling from Teams or calling from RingCentral, but because the caller ID will look the same, either way. If inside of Teams, if I dial a 10-digit phone number, the call is going to route out through RingCentral. If I call another internal employee, then the call stays within Teams. It never leaves the Teams environment. If I just call another employee, but anytime I dial a 10-digit phone number, Teams hands that call off to RingCentral, and RingCentral places the call. All right, so I'm going to hop down. So you can see I have a RingCentral application right below my call. And how you install that application, you click here into the application, marketplace. You find RingCentral and you install it from here, or you have the IT department, install it for you. Once you click over to this application here, it's going to load. It's going to have you log in initially to your RingCentral application. And then it's going to pull some of those RingCentral features from the app, the desktop app you have installed, over to Microsoft Teams. So you'll notice I have phone, text, and fax. So if I click down to fax here, you can see that, I do have the ability to look at my any faxes that I've sent or received. I have this little plus sign here in the top right corner. So I do have the ability to start a new fax from here. I would simply put in a phone number, pick which cover sheet I want, and then upload any documents on my computer up to 50 megabytes. So I could upload an Excel, a Word document, a PDF, a picture, whatever I wanted to upload, I'd have that ability to do that from here. Above that is our SMS texting. So we do have the ability to send and receive SMS texting from within Microsoft Teams here, utilizing obviously RingCentral, is the backend who's actually sending and receiving those messages for us. From here, I can hit plus here to start a new text message string, and then I can pick and choose, which phone number I'm going to use. If I have multiple phone numbers assigned to me, I can control which phone number I'm going to use, to place and receive these text messages. One note is you can also access the text messaging and the faxing within the RingCentral mobile application as well. When I go back up to the phone piece here, you can see I have my call history on the right hand side. I can highlight over. I can call or delete this, these numbers from my call history. I can also filter calls in the top corner. So maybe if I'm looking for a thing like, oh, I know somebody called me this morning with a 512 area code. Let me just, or a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So I could search through if I had a long call history here. I can click over to my voicemail. I can listen to these voicemails. I can call or delete, call this person back or delete them. One thing to note here is in the RingCentral application, I get, all of my voicemails are transcribed. Inside of Teams, they don't have that API open up for third-party transcription, everything like that. So I don't have the ability to see the transcriptions inside of Microsoft Teams. I can only play the voicemail messages here. When I'm ready to place the call here, it says enter name or number. I can simply type in any phone number I want, or I can type names and I can search the RingCentral directory. So inside the RingCentral application, I can search through my Outlook contacts or my Gmail contacts. But inside the Teams integration, I can only search the RingCentral directory. I can't search my Outlook contacts or anything like that. And again, and that's just limited due to the API available, that Teams, Microsoft, makes available for integration partners. But what you're going to notice here is it looks like I can place the call inside of Teams, but because I don't have that $8 license, associated with me, what this is going to do when I place the call here in a second is it's actually going to pop up a RingCentral little pop-up window, and RingCentral is going to place the call for me. So really, Teams is just like a shortcut to the RingCentral dialer in this case. So there's the same phone number that I called earlier from the call screen here. When I place this call here, now it's moving the call over to RingCentral, and then you can see RingCentral actually placed the outbound call for me. So I initiated the call in Teams, but Teams really just sent the call over to my RingCentral client and placed the call there. Now in my RingCentral application here, now I can mute the call, open the dial pad, do all that kind of stuff. I would do all the transfer conferences, all those features from within the RingCentral little pop-up window here. In my Teams window, I could go back. I could keep instant messaging, whatever I want to do within Teams, because now Teams is done with the call. Teams was just the Teams is just used to move the call over to RingCentral in this case. So you will notice the outbound call, already logged. Once I end this call, the outbound call will log to my recent call history though here. Boom, you can see here, 46-second outbound call. So it is updating, everything like that within Teams, but it's really just that's why I called it like a dialer, because I have my texting and faxing really inside of Teams, but the phone piece is really just a dialer shortcut over to RingCentral. All right, let's I'm going to minimize this here and we'll go back to here. All right, so let me see. I think I had a couple questions come in during that. Question about the Teams. So I get that question here. When you go to install the Teams application or the RingCentral application inside of Teams, your IT department will have to authorize the RingCentral application. So you don't necessarily need admin rights to your computer for installing an application, but your IT department has to approve the RingCentral application within to be installed and used within Teams. So you don't need admin rights, but you need the IT department to approve the RingCentral application there. Second question. So if you're using a single sign-on within Teams or within RingCentral and you install that application, it will automatically sign you into RingCentral. Yes. So you can use single sign-on with the RingCentral app integration. I think I got through all of the questions there. Another common question we'll get on this side of things is when you're using the RingCentral to Teams direct routing integration, if Teams has an outage, you will lose the ability to place and receive calls because the direct routing integration is using Teams as the endpoint. So if Teams has an outage, RingCentral is not down, but you will lose the ability to place and receive calls. Calls will still come inbound to RingCentral, but we won't have a destination to send those calls to. The other note there is if Teams is down and you wanted to turn off the RingCentral integration, yes, it is possible, but you have to log in. There's like a special website that we have to log into with RingCentral to turn user integration to Teams off. So it's a little bit of a little bit of work to get that done, and then your users would then have to install or go to the RingCentral website or install an application to log in in order to use RingCentral. So most of our customers, if they're doing the direct routing integration and there is a Teams outage, they're not going to turn that integration off because it's too much work for you to turn it off and have you use the RingCentral client going for a little bit, and then you have to turn it back on once Teams is back up. All right, I think I got through all of the questions there. I'm still going to follow up on the RingCentral Engage question because I just want to know, for myself and going forward as well, does it work with the Teams direct routing integration? I know it'll work with if I'm just doing the app integration, but I want to verify if Engage will work or the RingCentral Contact Center if they'll work if I'm doing the direct routing integrations there. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to to email us or contact us. If you have an assigned customer success manager or a sales rep with Inflow, feel free to reach out to them. Or the sales engineering team is always happy to hop on a call with those customers, discuss features and stuff like that. And if we need a resource from from RingCentral, we'll bring them on as well. But feel free to reach out to us, and I look forward to seeing you on another webinar in the future. And thanks for joining me today.